You can make your React Native development experience significantly faster by creating precompiled utility classes that make styling most components as easy as using Tailwind CSS on the web. When you first started building apps with React Native, you probably used Inline Styles. These are the object literals that you can directly insert onto the style property of your components, like this view tag. But these come with some performance issues. Every time a component re-renders, this object literal will get recreated. This means React Native will have received, in its opinion, a brand new style object that needs to be passed over the bridge and repainted, even if all the keys on the style object are exactly the same as before. The most common way to deal with this is by creating a style sheet for your component. This allows React Native to send your styles over the native bridge just once, and then refer to the resulting style by a numerical ID. Now when your component re-renders, the style ID is compared and found to be equal, resulting in no further renders. However, when you're building lots of new components, you'll find yourself constantly rewriting the same styles over and over again. Margin 8, padding 16, border radius 4, and often these styles are the only style applied to single view elements. So we can take a massive shortcut when building these new components by creating precompiled utility classes. So let's start with a function that creates named utility properties for border radius, margin, and padding, with all the right TypeScript info with just a few arrays and loops. We'll start with the property keys. These arrays define everything we need to build our property keys. Border radius isn't in this first array as it has 4 other keys for the corners, unlike margin and padding, so we've left it out. The cover types array lets us add the permutations for horizontal, vertical, top, etc., like margin top, padding bottom, and so on. Just below that, we'll define the intervals that we want. This determines whether we have that margin top 6, margin top 7, margin top 8, so we'll just go with this list here. You might have noticed that the arrays above are defined as consts. This means that their values never change, and means that in our TypeScript editor, we can know exactly what literals exist within them. This allows us to build TypeScript template literals, which are concatenations of multiple TypeScript types. It works exactly the same way as ES6 string literals do in actual runtime JavaScript. Now we have to actually take these types and build the real style keys that will go into our style sheet property. We're going to loop over the real arrays of style keys and intervals and do our first set of global styles. So this is going to create things like our padding 6, margin 10, etc. And then we're going to go specifically if we have the margin or the padding keys and start doing all of those cover types, such as top, left, bottom, horizontal, etc. So here we loop over the cover types array and once again over intervals and do exactly the same thing as we did above, just concatenating that CT cover types into the property key and then of course into the actual style sheet property. In order to actually use our new set of styles, we have to create a proper style sheet. So just below that, we'll create a simple style sheet and we'll spread the object of our layout types all over it. We'll export that and it means we can start using it in our components. Now we have this new style sheet, let's import it into our example component. We can replace margin left 8 with this margin left 8 layout style class. For styles that need multiple different properties, use a simple array and concatenate. When you're converting over, you can just comment out your existing styles and add in the new arrays that contain these helper utility classes. And that's it. Now you can use your helper style class across all of your components and get performant precompiled style sheets with simple utilities for anything that you need. You should set those values in the intervals array to whatever your application uses as its main theme. For example, at EcoEats, we always use border radius 4 for buttons and border radius 8 for larger view objects. And it's up to you what you're going to implement on your own project. I hope this was really helpful. There's a code download in the description if you want to get started on this yourself and create your own helper utility class based on your own styles, paddings, borders, etc. with whatever theme values you need for your project.